So guys, let me try and explain insulin to you. Now, insulin is a hormone that is produced by the pancreas when there is an increase in blood sugar levels. And the reason why the pancreas produces insulin is because it wants to lower the blood sugar levels that are rising, take it back to normal. However, insulin can take you into hypoglycemia, meaning lower blood glucose levels. And that can send you into cravings for you to take in more carbohydrates or more sugar so that you can raise your blood sugar levels. Now, we now know that you will only have an increase in blood sugar, in blood insulin, if you have consumed high content of carbohydrates or high content of protein. So protein has an ability to cause an increase in insulin levels in blood too. However, not to a larger extent than the carbohydrates do. So carbohydrates are the ones that cause the highest spikes in insulin levels in blood. Now, high levels of insulin in blood will take you to several conditions. One of these conditions is heart disease. So these are diseases that are associated with hyperinsulinemia, high levels of insulin in your blood. Number 1, we have heart disease. Number 2, we have stroke. Number 3, we have high cholesterol levels. So understand that cholesterol levels will come as a result of an increase in insulin and not as a result of you consuming animal fat. Number 3 is Alzheimer's, which is a disease that is sometimes classified as type 3 diabetes, and it causes you memory losses. Number 5 is type 2 diabetes. Number 6 is kidney problems. Number 7 is gout. Now, most of you have heard that gout, if you're suffering from gout, you're supposed to lower your protein content because you'll get the purines from that red meat, and that will predispose you to getting high uric acid levels and getting to gout. Surprisingly, that is not true, because gout is an elimination problem and not an intake problem. That means even if you continue taking that meat or those purines, you will never end up getting gout problems if your kidneys are still fixed. And what messes your kidneys? High levels of insulin, high levels of sugar. Now, most of you think that only high levels of sugar are dangerous to your health. Now, take it from me that also high levels of insulin are as worse as high levels of blood glucose levels. So I've just mentioned the diseases that you will encounter if you have high insulin levels. Therefore, making sure that these levels of insulin are low in your system every day will help you recover from those diseases that I just mentioned. Okay? Now again, I told you that insulin causes kidney problems. Also, it causes water retention and sodium retention. You've also heard doctors telling patients who have hypertension not to take salt, because salt can cause you hypertension or salt can predispose you to high blood pressure. That is not true. What they are not telling you is how will that high blood pressure come to happen if at all your kidneys are working. So high insulin levels will cause water and sodium retention, and this is as a result of intake of carbohydrates. Therefore, having high blood pressure as a result of salt intake is not because of that salt. It's because of the insulin levels that are high in your system. Therefore, if you want to consume your salt and never have that increase or change in blood pressure, you will have to stop taking carbohydrates or limit your carbohydrate intake, because they will cause an increase in high insulin, and that high insulin is the reason why you will start getting water and sodium retention, and that will increase your blood pressure. So salt has never been the problem. The problem has always been the sugar, but nobody is mentioning about the sugar. So every day, if you have an 8 to 16 hour gap between your meals, any meal you have an 8 to 16 hour gap, then you'll ensure that your insulin levels are very low. So you'll recover from heart diseases, you'll recover from hypercholesterolemia, you'll recover from kidney problems, hypertension, diabetes type 2, gout, and all this, even Alzheimer's, so that loss of memory. You'll also recover from those swelling feet, the edema. Okay, so you need low insulin levels. The last point is insulin, when it is high, there are hormones that are produced in the body to help your liver pump glucose into the system so that you have a full day or about 8 hours of the day without having to consume meals. These hormones are produced at around 4 a.m. in the morning. That's why most of you, when you wake up, you are not hungry. We only eat morning breakfast because we were accustomed to it. We just found our parents eating it, so we joined in that chain. So this counter-regulatory hormone, I already told you, I mentioned them before. One is growth hormone, one is cortisol, one is noradrenaline, and the other one is glucagon. Okay, so these hormones, what they do is, so what these counter-regulatory hormones do is they instruct the body to start getting energy from your reserves, and that is in the liver, which is energy stored as glycogen, which is basically a combination of glucose molecules. So that is one storage form of glucose, glycogen. Number two, fat cells. So glucose or energy is stored in the body in two forms, fat and glycogen. So therefore, this counter-regulatory hormone advise or tell the body to start breaking down glycogen from the liver into glucose and give you energy. That's the reason why you will take longer before you feel hungry in the morning. Number two, they will also instruct the body to break down triglycerides from the fat cells to give you ketone bodies, which are the best sources of energy for your body. However, getting that fat, the body likes holding on to fat. So it is hard for you to break down fat cells to get that energy that you deserve. So the body will start breaking down glycogen and then later on head on to fat. That's why all of us crave carbohydrates, because that is the easiest way, that is the easiest form of energy, and the body does not spend a lot of energy breaking it down to get energy, to get ATP. But for fat cells, the body has to take a lot of energy to break it down, and that's the reason why it is hard for you to lose weight. Therefore, do not add weight. Okay, so once you get this energy, then you don't feel hungry, and that is the role of counter-regulatory hormone. So you will start losing weight because they are breaking down fat. You will recover from fatty liver, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and all these chronic conditions. So if you want this to happen, then you have to lower your insulin levels, because if you lower your insulin levels, then counter-regulatory hormones in the system start going up. And once they go up, what you do is you're burning fat, which is good for you. So lowering your insulin down means you will have to limit your carbohydrate intake, and also you will have to lower all those processed foods, and specifically those processed carbs. So avoid them completely. Once you avoid those, your insulin level goes down, then you recover from all these conditions. Your metabolism goes high, your energy goes high, you start feeling mental clarity, you don't lose memory, and you recover from chronic conditions. So that is insulin.